Well. Good afternoon, everyone and everybody. It's me again, Craig, your recovery coach here at Capital Recovery Center. And once again, it's always a pleasure to be here to talk about some very important stuff on tonight. And tonight is I'm going to put it on the screen for you. This is our M.I.T. Men in Training Hybrid Meeting. And so we're going to talk about I'm going to read a good article, share some information with you, with those who are out there and who may be tuning in now or later. And I think this article is very informative. And so I want to share with you. And so the topic we're going to be talking about is what I learned about leadership from addictive recovery. And so I am a recovery coach here at Capital Recovery Center. And so I'm going to bring you this article by HuffPost.com. And so this article is written by someone who shared their stories. And so I thought it was very imperative that I read it and share with you as well. And so I'm going to stop rattling along and get right into the meat and potato. It says, what I learned about leadership from addiction recovery. After recently leaving my job after 2 decades, I have had time to reflect on my leadership journey. The recent loss of an important early mentor has focused that reflection on something unexpected. How much my recovery from addiction shaped my approach to leadership and social change. In fact, I've realized that those lessons are the cornerstone of my leadership. Growing up, I was a sensitive kid who struggled with a troubling combination of insecurity and depression. I was 10 years old when I first got drunk, enjoying the euphoric escape from those feelings and the substitution of a false confidence that felt pretty real in the moment. As I entered my teens, I came to depend on alcohol and drugs to either numb or manifest the ugliness I felt inside. There was never enough and not much else I cared about. My life was urgently organized around getting high and not getting busted for using or dealing. Over time, the drugs exacerbated by depression and insecurity rather than masked them, and my life was headed off the track. I was fortunate that a cascading series of mistakes, failures, and busts led me to an inpatient treatment program and a new life. I was just 16 years old. And so as you can see, gentleman is sharing his story that he experienced and some of the pitfalls that he endured during the process. Recovery from addiction is not an event, but an ongoing process and one that reveals new lessons and insight over time. I can still feel the lure of instant gratification and escape, but I've found healthier ways to address the insecurities, depression, fear, and stress that led me there. I never mastered it, but I've practiced for almost 30 years and continue today. This process has been the North Star that has guided me personally. And as I understand better now professionally, here are some of the lessons that have guided me personally as a CEO and as a public leader working for social change. Here's a young man, or here's a person that started out very young, using alcohol and drugs. I believe it says at the age of 10 years old, and he was consuming alcohol and drugs to, as he would say, to combat the depression and insecurities that one was feeling at the time. And so I really wanted to share this article because this is something that I believe that is very important, that a lot of young men or a lot of men have journeyed. I know myself as someone in recovery has similar experiences as this person described in this article. And so next we want to talk about it says there are no silver bullets. People need change, and relationship matter more than programs. And so a lot of times I hear people says, "Man, I'm programmed out." And so I thought about it. I said, "Wow." I hear people say that, but then there's another aspect of what people also need besides programs. And so that's why mentorship is something I feel is very important. And so let's see what the gentleman writes in this article where it says, there are no silver bullets, people need change, and relationships matter more than programs. Perhaps this set of insight has shaped my work on solving social problems more than any other. I myself benefited from a combination of inpatient treatment, outpatient treatment, support groups, therapy, friends, and mentors. However, here's a person who's not only talking about it from a book aspect, but also talking about a lived experience for him. So it says, each could claim me as an outcome. While all were valuable, none were sufficient. If I were to measure their effectiveness, I would rank them by the extent to which they helped me establish relationships that existed outside of institutional frameworks and were there when I needed them most. It was nurturing, supportive, and relevant relationships with peers and mentors who could nurture me, push me, and hold me accountable that have made the greatest impact. And it was mutual support. I did the same for them. And so, as the gentleman make mention, he says, yes, I went through inpatient, outpatient, institutional program or frameworks, et cetera, et cetera. However, when they began to build a bond, a relationship, those who, some of the peers that he began to grow more in depth of what it means to have value when it came to mentors or mentorship. All right. And so it says, my journey and many friends' journey have not been straight lines. And my outcomes were evaluated 1, 3, and 5 years out. There would have been very different results. There was not linear casualties from any one intervention to outcomes, but a roller coaster ride during which I needed different kinds of intervention and support at different times until I finally settled on a positive, sustainable path. I also know that what worked for me would not work for everyone. So what worked for someone may not work for others. So we all have our different pathways of how we can grow and change, right? It says, I need a more flexible nurturing program. Others need a more prescriptive, rigid program, which I would have rebelled against. I've also seen people require more than one opportunity to succeed. In recovery, when someone fails and comes back, we welcome them rather than shun them. We also understand that some people, due to mental illness, trauma, or other issues, may find success more elusive, and we keep welcoming them back. I argue often with policymakers and funders who think there are simple, singular solutions to help people living complex lives with changing conditions and circumstances. In the end, it is the support of people, not programs, that make the greatest difference. The best experts are those who have been there. All right, and so yes, some people make it the first time. Some people grasp it the first time, or going into a therapeutic community, whether it be a peer-related therapeutic community, or whether one go into a residential treatment facility. And then some people need several, or maybe few, like the guy said, 1, 3, or 5 times. Who knows? Whatever the outcome may be, We want the best for you. And so let's talk about another topic that he made mention of. He said, mentor matters most. All right. He says, mentor matter most. All right. And says, one of the first things one does in recovery is ask someone to be a sponsor. All right. So the first thing one does in recovery is ask someone to be a sponsor, a mentor, to show them the ropes and who is willing to be on call whenever temptation or trouble threatens. I was fortunate in my first week to meet a 36-year-old husband, father, and cattle buyer from the Milwaukee stockyards who agreed to take me under his wing. It was the first adult relationship, especially with the male, where I felt someone really accepted me fully and had my back completely. And see, and so as I'm reading this article and the person is sharing their lived experience, I really commend the person for being open and honestly and just sharing, because he said, it was the first adult relationship. So now we're talking about M.I.T. men in training, and this is a hybrid class. A lot of men, a lot of young men, a lot of older men who have never experienced a true relationship, whether it be from a male relationship, whether it be from their biological father or stepfather or someone who's near and dear. So this gentleman, he stated that until he met this gentleman, this cattle, he said he was a cattle buyer from the Milwaukee stockyards who opened his arms up and took him under his wing and began to show him the rope of what it means to be a mentor, right? And so let's continue on to see, dive a little further. And so he said the person that he met who took him on the arm, he loved me and he cared for me, but he also held me accountable and called me on my sugar honey iced tea, if you know what I mean, when I deserved it. He would make time for me whenever I needed him. Even when I called him in the middle of the night, which was not rare, I learned many lessons from him, but I also learned the value of finding someone who you aspire to be like, learning how they got there and asking them for help. I applied the same lesson when I started my career and continue today to do so. Engaging mutual support from peers, an executive coach, and many mentors without whom I could not have succeeded and sustained my leadership. All right? And so don't hesitate to give back, whether it be a leadership role, whether it be someone volunteer, if you know a person who in a NA meeting or AA meeting, and they may be a newcomer and they may be lost or may just need, as the guy said in this article, need someone to show them around the ropes or show them the ropes around the setting of an NA or AA meeting or support group. Just be welcoming and show a person genuine concern and have genuine love for that person, because you never know, you may meet someone or they may meet you and you could change their lives for the better. All right. And so let's talk about another one topic he says here is, are your mistakes and failures? No, that's a typo. Let me change that. I'm going to edit that while we're talking. And so I'm going to edit that, because that, when I read it, I said, oh, that didn't sound right. And so let's try it now, what it says. Let's put it up there. Own your mistakes and failures. All right? Own your mistakes and failures. It says another element of addiction recovery is to make a list of all the things we have done wrong to others and a list of all the people we have harmed. After reflecting on and building the list for some time, my next step was to sit with with my sponsor and share the list with him. It was a scary, humbling experience. At the end, I waited for him to judge me, and instead, he laughed. That's it. You're great. I love you. Let me tell you about my list. In recovery, we put our cards on the table all the time, admitting our weaknesses, failures, and struggles, and learn that we are still okay and worthy of love. And so we call that when I first started doing meetings or coming to a meeting, I learned the term keeping it green, and that is, keeping the grass grew, 100%. So I like what the sponsor told them, that we in recovery, we open up, we share our weaknesses, our failures, our struggles, and then we learn that we are still okay and worthy of love, right? We learn that we are not alone and that few of us are unique in terms of our failures and struggles. It was a powerful lesson that it is okay to screw up as long as you own it, learn from it, and grow. It's some powerful stuff. I like this because it helps me to understand, and I believe it helps someone out there to know that it's okay to make mistakes, but it comes a time in life that we all have to take ownership. We have to be responsible. We have to be accountable. We have to be dependable, and also to be independent. And so there's a lot of flexible or flexities or variety of things that we can incorporate in our characteristics and make us who we are. But in essence, that be true to yourself, because no one can know your story and no one knows you better than you. In my book and public speeches on leadership, I tell a story that includes sharing a list of things I suck at. I shared it because I learned that owning this list enabled me to hire different people, delegate better, and welcome feedback more. I explained how scary it was to first share this list with colleagues until I realized that the things you suck at aren't a secret. If you are always late, everyone notices. If you dominate conversation, everyone notices. If you avoid conflicts, everyone notices. If you dominate conversation, everyone notices. If you avoid conflict, everyone notices. Audiences laugh in recognition when I shared this story. And after my talks, many people shared with me some of the things they sucked at. Of course, it is also important to be confident about what we are good at. But I found being transparent about challenges is liberating and often opens up others to share their authentic selves with me rather than judge me. All right. And so we're going to move right along, and we're going to talk about another topic. And it says, welcome and don't judge others' story. And we used to call that when we welcome somebody and someone is sharing and open up and being transparent. We used to, in a therapeutic community, they had all these terms and slogans, things you should do and things you shouldn't do. Things we used to say, don't poke holes in somebody else's story because somebody else, in other words, don't laugh at it or don't judge somebody because somebody may grab something and it may be beneficial. If it don't be beneficial to you, it may be beneficial to someone else. So allow a person to tell their story and do not make fun of anyone. All right. And so what are we talking about? Welcome and don't judge others' story. In treatment at the age of 16, I resided with a group of peers very different from myself. They came from different communities, racial and ethnic backgrounds, and sexual orientation. There were individuals who came out of juvenile prison, gang members, teen parents, headbangers, jocks, golf, and hippies. I walked in thinking I knew them all from my instant biased judgment. Then I began learning their stories, their passions, struggles, and dreams. I realized how ignorant my biases were. found what we held in common, valued our differences, and felt grateful for the privileges I now understood that I had despite my challenges. As I began going to mutual support groups, I was often surrounded by an even more diverse mix of adults. In my first meeting, I sat with 3 senior citizens and was scared. I never talked to old people until they told their stories and welcomed mine. I learned to build relationships with all kinds of people and not to assume I knew everyone's story until I listened to it. There are people in recovery whose attitudes, quirks, or opinions can drive me crazy. I have to work at being more empathetic, patient, and accepting. I have to allow myself to be pleasantly surprised by those I've judged, which was happening many times. I also learned never to define someone by the biggest mistakes they have ever made, as I certainly never want to be defined that way. All right? And so allow people to share their story, allow people to be authentic, and try not to cast a shadow or paint a picture, a broad picture of people just because they come from different backgrounds or they may have done something different or totally opposite of what you have done. However, as we read before, own up to your own stuff and let them own up to theirs. So the next topic we want to talk about is practice, acceptance, forgiveness, and gratitude. Practice, acceptance, forgiveness, and gratitude. I learned from persevering through many struggles and, I learned from persevering through many struggles and tragedies and watching many others persevere through even greater struggles and tragedies to be more accepting and grateful of life on life's terms. The serenity prayer has been my mantra for years. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. As one who is conflict avoidant, I find that I'm actually better at the first part of the prayer than the second. I know that no matter what happens, if I maintain perspective, remain grateful, and reach out to others for help, I will persevere. Most importantly, I know that I cannot control many situations, only how I react to them and grow from them. It is not easy, and I can forget in reactive moments, but these lessons have helped me through many personal and professional struggles. I've become grateful for many lessons and learned the hard way. Several years ago, a friend of mine from recovery learned horrifically that his 7-year-old daughter was hit by a drunk driver while walking home from school. While she was in a coma, she eventually recovered. His rage at the driver was tempered by the fact that he had spent the previous 2 days wrestling with making financial amends for his own past drunk driving accident just 1 block from where his daughter was hit. There but the grace of God go I, he thought, and he did something he still finds unfathomable. He reached out to the man who hit his daughter and took him to an alcoholism recovery group. It was a deep, powerful lesson in grace, gratitude, and forgiveness. Mm, mm. I've learned that just as I wish for forgiveness when I'm wrong, I must always be willing to forgive when I've been wrong. Resentment is like drinking poison and hoping someone else dies. Forgiveness isn't automatic, it requires owning mistakes and changing, but it must always be available. And so this here is very important. It's very heartfelt. Um, It is something that we all want to aspire to be humble in our everyday lives. We want to forgive people, and we also want others to forgive us. And so, learn patiently the things that this topic is all about. And it says practice acceptance, forgiveness, and gratitude. All right. And so we're going to move on because I believe that topic there talks about how to transform and make good character as a mentor, especially when you're mentoring other men from a peer perspective or shared experience. Let's talk about the last one and we're going to get out of here. It says, pay it forward. Pay it forward. Recovery is predicated on servant leadership. Let me read that again. Recovery is predicated on servant leadership. As we learn and grow, we are responsible to pay it forward. I feel that responsibility and know that I cannot deny help to someone else that has been provided to me. So as you begin to look back over our lives and we see that there was other people who helped us develop and grow along the way. And so even though we are selfish at times with our recovery, we also have to be generous to reach back and help someone else along their journeys because each one reach one, each one teach one. All right? It says, let me read it again. It says, we share our stories as I do now to offer each other our lessons and hope. It was because so many people had helped me get my life on track that I searched for a way to help others in a career in public service. I tried to apply the same lessons to share and pay forward the support I received throughout the leadership and career. It says, last October, a friend of a friend was referred to me who was in treatment for alcoholism. When he got out, we met a few times to talk, attending the recovery meeting, and I advised him on a fairly standard program for his first 90 days. It wasn't working for him, and when he rejected my and others' advice, I worried that he might not be truly ready or committed to change. He honestly argued for an alternative path he felt would work better. Knowing that he is responsible for his own choices, I just asked him to be honest if he starts struggling and be willing to then try a different way. We have continued to spend time together, and he recently celebrated 6 months sober. He sent me a kind thank you note for my support, but I'm also quite thankful to him for grounding me back in my story and helping me continue practicing these principles, learning and growing, understanding how change happens in people's lives, seeking mentors, owning mistakes, suspending judgment, letting go, forgiving, and paying it all forward. These are priceless leadership lessons I've learned in an unusual way. I'm certainly not perfect at them, but there have been a great set of insight and principles to guide my life and leadership. I'm grateful to be a recovering addict and for the person and leader I learned to be as a result. All right, and so once again, it's been fun. The topic of today is what I learned about leadership from addiction recovery. And so for me, leadership means a lot because it means you have to, one thing I learned when I try to reflect on it quite often when I was in therapeutic program, community or program, however you want to term it, we call it TC, therapeutic community. One thing was integrity. And so integrity is something that I think we all should strive and hold on to and incorporate into our lifestyle, and that is to do the right thing. Do the right thing at all costs when no one is watching. And so, as a mentoring M.I.T, as you can see across the stream, men in training. So our goal is to help each men help each other to work on our character flaws, and to improve upon our lives for social change and family structure, and be responsible and to be a better person one day at a time. Not to say that we're perfect and that we're going to get it all done in one day. That's far from the truth. But if we work together, as I said, as a saying going, you know, iron sharpen iron, men sharpen men. And so that's the goal here at M.I.T, Men in Training, is that men sharpen one another in our growth and recovery. All right. And so that's it for this week. Hopefully, I'll see you next week, and take care of yourself, because nobody knows you better than you. So long. Have a blessed night.